Continuando con nuestro especial de salud mental, traemos para ustedes un testimonio donde Dios cambió lo que los médicos diagnosticaron como ansiedad y depresión.
Para Hechos y Crónicas Televisión es de suma importancia resaltar el significado de la salud mental y cómo se aborda desde el área espiritual. Brandon Alexson es un consejero, mentor y conferencista sobre el manejo de la ansiedad, depresión, inseguridad, falta de motivación y confusión mental. Ha viajado por 17 países contando su historia para animar a quienes sufren lo que él vivió. De niño sufrió bullying en su colegio al punto de quedar traumatizado. Esto desencadenó ansiedad, depresión y tristeza. En ese momento encontró un refugio erróneo en la pornografía y sus síntomas empeoraron. Él solamente quería esconderse del mundo, pero vivía tratando de encontrar qué hacer. En ese momento fue cuando Dios tocó a su puerta, y Brandon tomó la decisión de llevar a él toda ansiedad. Su mensaje de esperanza a otros está al alcance de todas las personas que lo escuchan. Además, es un consejero en línea a través de Zoom para personas que viven sin esperanza ni propósito. Esta es su historia.
Growing up was very difficult for me. There's a lot of bullying at my school, and I had a lot of trauma. I struggled a lot with anxiety and depression and just sadness in general. It was just a real issue growing up, and I actually became addicted to pornography when I was 11 years old. And it was terrible, and that just made everything worse, and I just wanted to hide from everybody. And so I lived my life trying to figure out what to do, how to make it work. And I was very privileged because my father works with the NBA, like I mentioned about Sports Power International. My father was the founder for the Chapel program in the NBA. He started the Chapel program, which puts a Christian pastor, mentor, counselor for each NBA team. And so because of that connection, then I was able to travel the world, 17 different countries. I stayed in the nicest hotels, I ate the best foods, I met with presidents of countries. And so I got to live the life that we're trained to believe that if we get enough money, if we get these things, if we have all these experiences, if we just get enough, acquire enough in our lives, that we'll be happy, we'll be satisfied. But it wasn't helping me. If anything, it was just making the problem worse. And inside of me, my heart needed help, and that it was not addressing my heart. And I learned also that like these NBA players that I'm meeting, these famous people that I'm spending time with, they're hurting too. And they turn to suicide, like they commit suicide. They become drug addicts just as much as a poor person does. And so going through this process, I just came to a very bad place. And everyone had left me, and it was terrible. And I even had physical illness. I had autoimmune disease, and it was like having lupus, fibromyalgia, and Lyme's disease all at once. And so I was ready to give up. I didn't want to live anymore. I wanted to commit suicide. And so it was in this place that it was the worst moment of my life. And I was sitting in my room all alone, and people were praying for me. And so I grabbed a Bible. That's why I grabbed the Bible, because I wasn't trying to be religious, wasn't trying to go to church. I just grabbed a Bible, I opened it, I looked at it, and there was a scripture. It was Psalm 55, verse 22. It said, "Cast your burden on the Lord, and He will sustain you." And I said to God, I said it out loud, I said, "God, either this works, or I die tomorrow, I don't care." And I put everything on God, like all the burden of life, everything I was trying to fix, everything I was trying to find, everything I was trying to be. I just took all that worry, and I just put it on God. And you know what? I started to experience God's peace. I started to experience like, you know what? This is working. Like, this is making sense. Like all of a sudden I'm feeling like I'm gonna be okay. Here's the thing. I was making a lot of mistakes. I had a lot of problems. I hurt a lot of people, and a lot of people hurt me. I hated myself. I didn't care about anyone. It wasn't that I changed, but it was that I felt like I was getting the thing that I had been searching in with all my NBA friends and all this stuff in the world, traveling. I was realizing that I didn't find it there, but I found it in this. And so I just kept going with this. I kept putting the burden on God. He kept sustaining me. And then over time, little by little, He started to change me. I went from just playing video games all day and just not being able to do anything and just being stuck in shame. I went from that to all of a sudden I started to have words. All of a sudden I started to have thoughts. I started to have wisdom about issues. Like God was giving me what I needed to speak into other people's lives. I became a counselor, and then all of a sudden it was like God opened the door for the speaking. I was able to have the privilege for the last 4 years to speak and teach at a successful drug rehab in Naples, Florida, which is southwest Florida. And those guys coming out of meth houses, those guys coming out of serious addiction and problems and just terrible stuff, these guys are like the lowest of the low, they have done the worst you can imagine. And God is giving me a word for them and breaking through all of that stuff, breaking through all the damage and the heart that had been so cold and hardened over the years of all of that stuff, God giving me something for them. So this is where the speaking began, and it's just been growing ever since. And I just love it now. I love to speak. I never thought I would be a speaker. God knew I would love it, and He brought me into it, and He made it happen.